The Name in Gold. Part 1, The Forgotten Stacks. Jonathan Royce had spent most of his adult life in the company of the dead, not in graveyards, but in dusty municipal archives, squinting at faded census records through magnifying glasses and microfilm readers. On a damp autumn afternoon, his work brought him to an old brick municipal building in a small Pennsylvania town. The archivist on duty, a thin woman with hair the color of candle soot, had given him the key to storage room C, a basement he'd never heard of. "Be careful," she said vaguely, though her tone was less warning and more ritual, as if the words had been repeated for generations. The key didn't fit any ordinary lock, it slid into an ancient brass mechanism and clicked with a noise like a vault ceiling. The door opened into a stairwell that descended far deeper than the building's foundations should have allowed. At the bottom was a vast chamber, lit not by bulbs but by the glow of hundreds, no, thousands, of drawers stretching into the darkness. Each was black as obsidian, but the names carved into them gleamed faintly in gold, as though lit from within. The air smelled of parchment and rain-soaked stone. Part 2, Lives Behind Drawers. Jonathan wandered through the aisles, running his fingers over the lettering. The names were in every language he could imagine, some in alphabets he didn't recognize. He chose a drawer at random, pulling it open expecting paper records. Instead, the space behind it expanded into an entire furnished kitchen, frozen mid-action. A kettle whistled soundlessly on a stove, a child leaned against the counter, half-smile still on his face. The smell of cinnamon and boiling tea reached Jonathan's nose. Another drawer opened onto a wind-blown dock, where a fisherman stood mid-cast, eyes fixed on the invisible arc of his line. The sea beyond was motionless, a sheet of liquid glass. Each drawer was a moment. A life, preserved like a photograph, but alive enough to breathe. Jonathan began to understand, this was no archive of paper, but of existence. Part 3, The Name She Never Spoke. Half in awe, half in dread, Jonathan turned a corner and saw it gleaming faintly ahead of him. His mother's name. Not the name she'd gone by in life, but one she had never told him, a surname he'd only glimpsed once, scrawled in faded ink on the corner of a family Bible, before she'd torn the page out. His hand trembled as he opened the drawer. Inside was a small, lamplit apartment. A younger version of his mother sat at a table, hair loose, writing a letter in a language he didn't know. A man Jonathan had never seen stood at the window, watching rain beat on the glass. The air was warm and smelled faintly of baking bread. She looked up, her eyes seeming to meet his. "Jonathan," she whispered, though her lips didn't move.